Control. What's this? I remember this.
We, as Choctaws rather, chose to suffer and be free. My people are dear to me. With them, I must go.
My destiny is cast among the Choctaw people. If they suffer, so will I. If they prosper, then I will rejoice. Let me again ask you to regard us with feelings of kindness. Chief Harkin's letter to the American people has been on my mind a lot lately. It's been almost 200 years since he wrote it, but it is just as timely now as it ever was. With Chief Harkin's words in mind, I'm proud to bring you this year's State of the Nation address. Over the past year, the Choctaw Nation has continued to increase housing for elders and families who need safe, affordable places to live. The number of new homes and rental units is on the rise, thanks to the hard work and support of our Tribal Council and Housing Department. Across the reservation, we're seeing an increase in demand for market rate housing. Unfortunately, the housing shortage is driving rent prices up to historic levels across the board. To combat this issue, we have begun work on the new apartment complexes that will be completed in 2024. In total, these multifamily complexes will provide over 400 units, and our tribal members and Choctaw Nation associates will be able to pre-lease apartments.
And the majority of our kids in our program are single parents, low income, living with a grandparent. The kids, they can expect a mentor, big brother, big sister, someone that's going to be there for them. Halito, my name is Sonny Winship. I am the program manager over the Youth Outreach Program. Our purpose is to assist students in finding solutions for hardships that may occur, pretty much just to help them, when they do get older, how to overcome that hardship. Just kind of being that mentor to kind of guide them for that next step in the future. A lot of our advisors, even myself, has been through these situations. There's a big saying that I like to say, be who you needed when you were younger. Just knowing that we're there to, be there for them is a true blessing.
The healthier we are as individuals, the stronger our nation is as a whole. This year, we have worked to reduce health disparities among our people by implementing a range of support services, including our Diabetes Prevention Program, Diabetes Wellness Center, and the PACE program. We also extended the Elder and Disability Food Security programs for a year to give our tribal members access to healthy food. Another way we support our elders is through the Healthy Aging Program, where case managers work to improve the quality of life for seniors through wellness programs, social services, and behavioral health resources.
I find the most fulfillment in being able to assist a large number of tribal member students. Halito, my name is Max White, and I'm a program manager with Choctaw Nation Higher Education. Higher Education offers a scholarship per semester to tribal member students attending an accredited college or university.
So it really was a godsend that I was able to find this program through the Choctaw Nation.
Being able to support students like Christian Elledge is more than a privilege.
What I wanted to do was utilize the immune system and target these cancer cells. I want to give back to my community from bench to bedside. So not only the development of it in the research laboratory, but then take it to actual patients and take it to their bedside.
They're able to pursue not only a higher education, but maybe give back, maybe come back to the Choctaw Nation and be able to assist in the way that we're trying to do today.
He always loved to sing. He was 7 years old, and he sang at the Episcopal Church in McAllister. He sang the Old Rugged Cross, and that was the first time he sang in public. His voice teacher, he said, "Hey, Ridge, they're going to have auditions for Oklahoma. They're looking for an understudy." But he said, "You've got to go today." And my dad was wearing jeans, boots, and an old red wool shirt. They said he should take chaps too, and I guess he had them with him. So Dad went in and he sang and did something from Green Grow the Lilacs. And Richard Rogers said, "You're great. Come back tomorrow. Oscar Hammerstein needs to hear you." And he was immediately cast as Howard Keel's understudy.
They really were against the image they had at the time. And like I said, Oklahoma the Musical was the most popular musical. Everybody knew it. It was making international tours. In '53, he had the idea of, let's make this the state song. He contacted Rogers and Hammerstein, got the rights for $1, and pushed it through.
Dad all of a sudden had to fly to Oklahoma. George had called him and said, "You got to get down here and you got to be here tomorrow," because the Oklahoma legislature is wanting to put in this old song, and I guess a legislator got up and sang it, and it was very sad and everyone was crying, and George went, "I'm going to table this issue." He went in, dressed in costume, and sang it. Everyone in the entire legislature stood up. It was immediately voted totally in as a state song.
Well, it's important because of our history, of course, of all the recognized tribes in Oklahoma mostly being relocated from other places, you know, and calling this place their home.
Because of my dad's love of the Choctaw and our love and pride, we wanted to give back his memorabilia so that every Choctaw could be extremely proud of their heritage and as proud as we are to be Choctaws.
One way we promote and preserve Choctaw culture is through our language revitalization programs. When we first began teaching the Choctaw language in 1998, we had one class by satellite at the University of Oklahoma, and now we teach thousands of people every week. One of our newest language initiatives is the apprenticeship program, which offers tribal members the opportunity to learn the Choctaw language and help us teach it to others. Our apprentices work tirelessly to preserve our traditions through the Choctaw language, because it's not only important to our sovereignty, but it's also a huge part of who we are as a strong tribal nation.
I don't think we'll ever be finished with NAGPRA. Systemic racism has existed for a really long time, and it's going to take just as long to find our ancestors and their funerary items from institutions across the world. Halito, I'm Deanna Bird, and I serve as a NAGPRA liaison in historic preservation here at the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. NAGPRA is the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. Our work is an act of sovereignty, but it is also an act of love. Just recently, in February of this year, we were able to work with the Gilcrease Museum for the return of the LaFleur pipe under a claim of cultural patrimony. I do have hope. I'm happy to say that in the next year or two, where there are thousands of ancestors that are going to be reburied and find that piece again.
Since the Choctaw Nation adopted the Peacemaking Act in 2015, we've provided a forum for tribal members to resolve disputes with the help of our elders. Using traditional Choctaw practices, ceremonies, and cultural beliefs sets our Peacemaker Court apart from the typical judicial process and allows us to exercise our sovereignty in a truly unique way. Oftentimes, tribal elders help to settle disputes through traditional practices that help heal those involved and repair relationships moving forward. If you are interested in volunteering to be a peacemaker, visit our Choctaw Nation Peacemakers webpage.
Restorative justice is extremely important. It's a concept that began in Native communities. When someone committed some type of a crime, the community would come together and they would allow that person to take responsibility for their action. At the same time, they would allow for healing. Halito, my name is Gina South, and I'm the Juvenile Division Chief for the Office of Prosecution here at Choctaw Nation. Whatever the reason is for someone having committed a crime, we usually have a type of program that can address what the root of that problem is. We want to make sure that we're always honoring our ancestors in everything that we do. And we want to make sure that it is a fair process from beginning to end.
For over a year now, we've had tribal codes in place to ensure good stewardship of the Choctaw Nation's wildlife resources and protect tribal members' rights to hunt and fish on the reservation. Since those codes were put into place, we have established the Office of Wildlife Conservation, which helps maintain the balance between wildlife and mankind through responsible practices. Visit the Wildlife Conservation webpage for training videos and a list of frequently asked questions.
There's a lot of ways that this module will help give back, either locally or nationally. I'm Mark Morales. I'm the training officer for Choctaw Nation Forestry, as well as the manager of the Wildland Fire Module. A Wildland Fire Module is fire suppression work as well as fuels mitigation work. Fire suppression is putting a fire line around a wildfire. Fuels mitigation can be cutting hazardous trees, creating fire lines, prescribed burning, any aspect that reduces the hazard of a wildfire. I think the module helps the Choctaw Nation. It provides a source of employment. We can go across the country and help others, manage the land, help out around this area with prescribed burning and fire suppression efforts.
I've experienced several tornadoes and severe storms in my life, and I can tell you, Choctaw Nation was the only emergency management department that showed up to help our people. Halito, Soachifo Kelby Kennedy, proud citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and I serve as the first ever National Tribal Affairs Advocate for the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA. So my family is incredibly close. The Buffalo Valley was great. I grew up there, both sides of my grandparents. So my Bohannon grandparents and my Kennedy grandparents both live in Buffalo Valley.
She was a precious, precious girl, little girl. She was a strong person and always has been.
I saw a lot of situations where people were being taken advantage of, and I knew that the knowledge of the law could have a large impact in the community.
In the 6th grade, she decided that she was going to be a lawyer because she always had a passion to help people.
Chief Batton really encouraged me to go to law school, in particular to do 2 types of law, federal Indian law and international law. It's really tricky being the first ever. So my role as the first ever FEMA National Tribal Affairs Advocate is I'm the first political appointee for tribal nations in the history of both FEMA and in the history of the Department of Homeland Security. My job is to advocate for tribal nations, not just for Choctaw Nation, but all tribal nations across the country to help educate FEMA workforce and really set the stage for how we as FEMA, for many years going forward, are going to work in a nation-to-nation manner to live up to our treaty and trust responsibilities to all tribal nations, making sure that they can keep everybody safe before, during, and after disasters.
If my great-grandmother Gertie was here, she would be so proud that she is carrying on the legacy and sharing that with the world.
My legacy that I want to leave at FEMA is to firmly establish that we need this National Tribal Affairs Advocate position.
The Choctaw Nation is a good friend and partner to the state of Oklahoma. Each year, we impact the state's economy by more than $2 billion through compacts, which help create jobs, infrastructure projects, and law enforcement services. We believe in collaborating with legislators to do what's best for all Oklahomans. And I want to take a moment to thank those in the Oklahoma House and Senate for recognizing our ongoing partnerships by continuing to work with us toward our common goals. We've had our fair share of challenges from the governor, but the numbers don't lie. The tribes of Oklahoma are taking care of our neighbors and having a positive impact on the natural resources of our beautiful state.
It's so important for the Choctaw Nation to invest in the community because we are the community. This is our home. This is where our people are. My name is Heidi Grant. I am the Executive Officer of Gaming and Hospitality. I grew up in the area as a tribal member. You take a sense of pride in seeing your community continue to grow. So with the landing coming into the area, it's bringing over 400 jobs to the local community. It will have over a $95 million economic impact, bringing housing to the area. It'll drive recruitment to the area. The Choctaw Nation has built and installing an electric substation to take some of that pressure off the local infrastructure. We're here to build partnerships. We're here to be good community stewards. We're here to all succeed together because we can't do it alone.
Our story is nowhere near finished. In fact, it has just begun. We rely on the past for wisdom, the present for action, and the future for hope. Yesterday, today, and always, we are the Choctaw people. Yako Ki, and God bless.